stop what you are doing this very second and pay attention as if your life depends on it, because your own body is harboring a silent predator that is planning to hijack your mobility and rob you of your future forever. Somewhere deep inside your spine, a ticking time bomb is waiting to explode, and you might already be feeling the first signs of a total physical collapse. Imagine the horror of waking up in the dead of night, feeling as though a jagged bolt of white-hot lightning is just ripped through your lower back and surge all the way down to your toes. You are paralyzed in a grip of agony so intense that no amount of screaming or thrashing can provide an escape. Most people make the fatal mistake of dismissing this as a simple backache or the inevitable price of aging, but that exact moment of denial is how this monster claims its victims. We are exposing the terrifying nightmare known as sciatica, a debilitating nerve crisis that is currently hunting through American households like a ghost in the shadows. If you do not act with extreme urgency, that tiny tingling in your foot or that dull, persistent ache in your hip is the final warning shot before you lose the ability to walk unassisted for the rest of your days. You must stay tuned until the final second of this broadcast, because here at Senior Secrets Health 365, we are finally pulling back the curtain on the industry lies and revealing why your current treatments are failing, while a few forgotten secrets could be the only key to reclaiming your stolen life. To survive this onslaught, you must understand the brutal physics of the carnage happening inside your own frame. Your sciatic nerve is the longest and thickest nerve in the entire human body, serving as the primary electrical highway for your lower limbs. When one of the rubbery discs between your spinal vertebrae slips out of its socket or begins to bulge like a bruised organ, it creates a mechanical nightmare. It pinches that nerve with a relentless and crushing force that never sleeps. This is not mere pain, it is a full-scale neurological emergency. It feels as though an invisible assailant is driving a glowing hot blade through your muscle tissue, or like your leg has been plugged directly into a high-voltage power outlet. One morning, you will find yourself unable to stand up straight, and by the next evening, you may realize with horror that you can no longer even feel your own foot hitting the pavement. This sudden loss of sensation is the terrifying precursor to permanent nerve death. In our frantic and poisoned society, millions of desperate people reach for bottles of heavy-duty painkillers to numb the screaming sensation, but you are playing a suicidal game with your internal organs. Masking the suffering with toxic chemicals does absolutely nothing to stop the structural collapse occurring in your spine. While those pills are quietly rotting your liver and destroying your kidneys, the underlying inflammation is growing into a monster, weaving its roots deeper and deeper into your nervous system until they are impossible to extract. Painkillers are not healers, they are silencers. They mute the alarm while the house continues to burn. By the time the medication wears off, the damage has already advanced further than before, and each cycle pulls you closer to a point of no return. Our modern lifestyle is a literal breeding ground for this agony. We spend half our lives slumped in chairs like corpses, stare down at screens that wreck our skeletal alignment, and carry weights our spines were never evolved to support. The human spine was designed for movement, not confinement. It thrives on rotation, extension, and balance, yet we lock it into rigid, unnatural positions for hours every day. Over time, the muscles that should protect your spine shut down from disuse, while others tighten like rusted cables. This imbalance forces the vertebrae to grind and compress until the discs begin to bulge, crack, or collapse. This constant mechanical stress eventually causes the spine to buckle, and that is the exact moment the sciatica monster wakes up to feast. However, there is a narrow path back to the light that does not involve a pharmacy or a surgeon's knife. Nature has hidden an incredible toolkit for cooling the raging fires of nerve inflammation if you are brave enough to use it. Long before modern medicine existed, ancient cultures understood that inflammation was the true enemy behind chronic pain. They studied plants, roots, and minerals not as folklore, but as survival tools passed down through generations who depended on their bodies to work or die. Look closely at turmeric, which contains a compound called curcumin. This is not just a common spice, it is a biological powerhouse that modern science now confirms can interfere with the inflammatory pathways that cause nerves to swell, tighten, and misfire. Inflammation is not random chaos, it follows chemical signals, and curcumin has the rare ability to interrupt those signals at their source. That means less pressure around the nerve, less heat in the tissue, and a calmer environment where healing can begin. When you mix high-quality turmeric into a warm mug of milk with a specific pinch of black pepper, you create a potent delivery system. On its own, curcumin struggles to survive digestion, but piperine contains piperine, which dramatically increases its absorption. Piperine acts like a master key, unlocking the turmeric and escorting it through your digestive system and into your bloodstream. From there, it can circulate to inflamed tissues, bathing irritated nerve pathways in a natural cooling agent rather than a synthetic toxin. When you consume this regularly, you are not simply chasing pain relief. You are changing the internal environment that allowed the pain to exist in the first place. You are signaling to your body that the emergency is being addressed. Over time, this can mean less swelling around the sciatic nerve, more fluid movement in the spine, and a gradual return of sensation and control that many people believed was lost forever. This is how real recovery begins, not with force or suppression, but by giving your body the tools it has been waiting for all along. Your kitchen is no longer just a place for meals. It is actually your first line of defense in a war against a biological invader. Every ingredient you choose is either strengthening your body's defenses or silently sabotaging them. If you want to stop the endless cycle of agony and prevent a total physical breakdown, you have to stop feeding the flames of inflammation that are eating you alive from the inside out. Inflammation is not some abstract concept. It is a measurable chemical storm raging through your tissues and nerves, and food is one of the most powerful switches controlling its intensity. Most of the processed snacks found in our grocery stores are loaded with hidden chemical triggers, refined sugars, and industrial oils that act like gasoline on a fire. These substances spike inflammatory markers in the blood, causing swelling around already compromised nerves. With every bite, the pressure tightens, and the pain signals grow louder and more aggressive. This is why some people notice their symptoms flare within hours of eating certain foods, even if they never make the connection. The damage is cumulative and relentless. Instead of poisoning yourself, you need to flood your system with dark and vibrant berries like blueberries and blackberries. These are not just fruit, they are densely packed with high-intensity antioxidants that patrol your bloodstream like a specialized cleanup crew. Their job is to neutralize the unstable molecules that damage nerve tissue and accelerate degeneration. When those antioxidants get to work, they help reduce oxidative stress, calm inflamed pathways, and support the repair of microscopic injuries that sciatica leaves behind in its wake. Over time, this creates an internal environment where healing is possible rather than impossible. Furthermore, we often forget the terrifying reality that our spinal discs are mostly composed of water. These discs act as shock absorbers, keeping bone from grinding against bone and nerves from being crushed under pressure. When you allow yourself to become even slightly dehydrated, those vital discs begin to shrink and lose their elasticity. They flatten out like a deflated tire, losing their ability to cushion movement. As that space disappears, the sciatic nerve becomes trapped and irritated. Staying hydrated is not just about quenching your thirst. It is a daily mission to keep your spinal cushions inflated, resilient, and capable of protecting the nerve pathways that allow you to stand, walk, and live independently. We also need to expose the hidden truth about the power of healthy fats, which are the missing link in the American diet. For decades, people were taught to fear fat without understanding its role in the nervous system. In reality, we are suffering from a massive deficiency in essential fatty acids that act as the primary insulation for every nerve in the body. Without them, nerve signals become distorted, delayed, or painful. Incorporating foods like walnuts and flax seeds into your breakfast provides your body with the raw materials it needs to maintain and repair the protective sheath surrounding your sciatic nerve. This sheath is what allows electrical signals to travel smoothly from your spine to your legs. You must think of this nerve like a high-voltage electrical wire running through your body. When the insulation wears thin, the signal leaks and sparks fly. That electrical chaos is experienced as burning, stabbing, or shooting pain. Healthy fats help keep that insulation thick, flexible, and intact. They reduce friction along the nerve pathway, stabilize signal transmission, and lower the risk of the painful short circuits that can lead to weakness, numbness, and loss of control. This is not about comfort food or trends. It is about rebuilding the fundamental infrastructure that keeps your nervous system functional. When you nourish your body correctly, you are no longer just managing pain, you are fortifying yourself against it. If the pain becomes unbearable and you feel like you are standing on the edge of collapse, there are ways to regain control in the moment by harnessing the power of temperature therapy. Pain thrives in stagnation. It feeds on poor circulation and locked muscles. While a cold pack can be useful during an acute flare-up by dulling the sharpest signals like an emergency mute button, gentle heat is often the true ally for chronic and long-term sciatica sufferers. Heat does something cold cannot. It restores movement at the cellular level. Applying a warm compress directly to your lower back encourages a powerful rush of blood into tissues that have been starved for far too long. That blood carries oxygen, nutrients, and healing compounds that help suffocating muscles finally release their grip on the sciatic nerve. As those muscles soften, the pressure eases and the nerve can breathe again. This is not just comfort, it is a physiological reset that reminds your body how relaxation is supposed to feel. Many people also discover profound relief by soaking in a warm bath infused with magnesium salts. Magnesium is one of the most critical minerals for nerve and muscle health, and yet the vast majority of people are deficient without realizing it. Stress burns through magnesium reserves at an alarming rate, and chronic pain is one of the greatest stresses the body can experience. Magnesium works as a natural muscle relaxant and nerve stabilizer. When absorbed through the skin, it bypasses digestion and goes straight to work calming overactive nerve signals and releasing deep-seated tension that stretching alone cannot reach. For some, this simple ritual becomes the first time their nervous system truly powers down in weeks or months, allowing real sleep to finally return. But relief in the moment is only part of the equation. Beyond what you eat or what you apply to your body, you must change the fundamental way you move through the world before the damage becomes permanent. We are living in a deadly era of sitting disease, where stillness is normalized and movement is treated as optional. Your sciatic nerve pays the price for this cultural trap. Sitting for prolonged periods places enormous pressure on the lower spine, compresses the discs, and shortens the muscles that control pelvic alignment. Over time, this creates the perfect conditions for nerve entrapment and degeneration. You must break the habit of remaining seated for hours at a time, whether at a desk, in a car, or on a couch. Setting a timer and standing up every 30 minutes may sound trivial, but it can dramatically change the forces acting on your spine. Standing resets pelvic position, reactivates dormant muscles, and decompresses the vertebrae that have been under constant load. These small interruptions in sitting can prevent hours of cumulative damage. When you do, sit posture becomes non-negotiable. Your ears should be stacked directly over your shoulders, and your spine should maintain its natural curve rather than collapsing forward. This alignment distributes weight evenly through the skeletal system instead of dumping it onto the lower lumbar discs. Over the course of a year, this adjustment alone can remove hundreds of pounds of repeated pressure from the most vulnerable area of your spine. That difference can mean the line between mobility and dependency. Reclaiming your mobility is not a quick fix or a weekend project. It is a marathon and a battle for your very soul, not a sprint. This condition was built slowly through years of habits, stress, and neglect, and it must be dismantled with patience, consistency, and intention. But make no mistake, change is possible. By combining natural anti-inflammatory strategies, restorative heat, mineral support, and an uncompromising commitment to posture and movement, you can absolutely turn the tide. There will come a day when you no longer approach stairs with fear or hesitate before standing up in public. A day when pain no longer dictates your schedule, mood, or identity. You deserve a life defined by strength, independence, and freedom, not by a nerve that has held you hostage for too long. We want to hear from you because your story matters. Where are you watching from, and how long have you been fighting this silent battle? Sharing your experience may be the spark that gives someone else the courage to keep going. You are not alone in this fight. We are here to support you every step of the way on your journey toward total wellness and physical rebirth. Until next time, stay strong, stay aware, and never stop moving.